The great chamber of the Galactic Council floated in the darkness of space. It was a massive station, built thousands of years ago by species that had long since died out. Lights of every color glowed from its walls. Strange plants grew in glass containers. The air smelled different in every corner because each species needed different things to breathe. Admiral Park walked through the main doors with her boots making sharp sounds on the metal floor. She was 52 years old, with gray streaks in her black hair, and a face that had seen too many battles. Her uniform was simple and dark, nothing like the flowing robes and glowing armor worn by the alien representatives around her. Behind her walked Commander Lee. He was younger, maybe 40, with broad shoulders and hands that were covered in old scars. He carried a small computer tablet and his eyes moved constantly, watching everything and everyone. The council chamber was shaped like a half circle with seats rising up toward the ceiling. Hundreds of aliens sat in those seats. Some had too many eyes. Some had no eyes at all. Some were made of crystal that caught the light. Others looked like insects the size of cars. A few seemed to be made of pure energy, floating in special containers. At the center of the highest row sat the High Arbiter. It was a creature made of living crystal, 12 feet tall, with 6 arms and a face that showed no emotion. It had led the Galactic Council for 300 years. It had seen species rise and fall. It did not think much of humans. Stopped in the center of the chamber, a spotlight fell on her from above. She could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching her, judging her. Most of them had already decided she was not worth listening to. "Counselors," she began, keeping her voice calm and strong, "thank you for allowing me to speak today." The High Arbiter made a small movement with one of its crystal hands. It meant she should continue, but also hurry up. "3 weeks ago," said, "the swarm crossed the outer reach. They attacked the—" She paused. "They destroyed it completely. 12 billion are dead. Their entire civilization is gone." A soft murmur went through the chamber. They had been a peaceful species. They made beautiful art and music. They had never hurt anyone, and now they were all dead. "We have studied them for many years," continued. "They do not want land, they do not want resources, they do not want power. They want only one thing: they want to consume. They eat everything. Ships, stations, cities, people. They absorb it all into their swarm and grow larger." She pressed a button on her tablet. A hologram appeared in the air above her head. It showed they were horrible to look at. Each creature was different, but they all had the same basic shape. Long bodies covered in black armor, too many legs, mouths that opened in 4 directions, and eyes, hundreds of eyes, all of them hungry. "The swarm has destroyed 47 worlds in the past 10 years, said. "They are getting faster, they are getting smarter, and they are coming this way." The High Arbiter leaned forward slightly. Its crystal face caught the light. "We are aware of it said. Its voice sounded like glass breaking slowly. "They are a minor threat. The outer species were weak. They could not defend themselves." "They had a fleet of 200 ships, said, stepping forward. They destroyed them in one day." "They were not warriors," the Arbiter replied. "The Council maintains a fleet of 5,000 warships. They would not dare attack us." Felt her hands tighten into fists. She forced herself to relax. Getting angry would not help. "We are not asking you to be afraid," she said. "We are asking you to be smart. Humanity wants to form an alliance. Our ships and your ships, our soldiers and your soldiers. Together, we would be strong enough to stop them before they reach the inner systems." Laughter filled the chamber. It came in many forms. Some aliens made clicking sounds. Others made wet, bubbling noises. A few actually laughed in a way humans could recognize, but the meaning was the same. They were laughing at her. The High Arbiter raised one crystal hand, and the laughter slowly stopped. "Admiral Park," it said, "humanity has been traveling among the stars for 200 years. That is nothing. That is the blink of an eye. My species has been part of this council for 11,000 years. We have seen threats come and go. We have maintained peace in this galaxy for longer than your species has existed." It stood up from its seat, all 12 feet of it. Crystal light reflected off its body like a living rainbow. "We do not need the help of children," the Arbiter continued. "We do not need the advice of a species that still fights wars among itself. We do not need humans." The words hit like punches, but she did not show it on her face. She had expected this. Humanity always had to prove itself. Every time they met a new species, it was the same. Humans were young. Humans were aggressive. Humans were dangerous. Humans should sit down and be quiet while the adults talked. She looked at the aliens around her. Some of them looked uncomfortable with what the Arbiter had said. A few even looked sorry, but none of them spoke up. None of them defended humanity. None of them were brave enough to disagree with the Arbiter. "Then this meeting is over," said. Her voice was flat and cold. "We came here to offer friendship. We came here to offer alliance. We came here because we believed that all intelligent life should work together against common threats." She turned and began walking toward the door, followed her. "When the swarm comes for your worlds," she said over her shoulder, "remember this day. Remember that we tried to help. Remember that you laughed at us." "Is that a threat, Admiral?" the Arbiter asked. Stopped, she turned around one last time. "No," she said. "It is a promise that will come. They will attack your precious council. They will destroy your ancient civilizations. And when that happens, humanity will still be here. We will still be fighting, because that is what we do. We survive." She walked out of the chamber. The doors closed behind her with a heavy sound. In the corridor outside, let out a long breath. "Well," he said, "that went about as well as expected." Did not answer at first. She was thinking about the future, about the war that was coming, about all the people who would die because the council was too proud to listen. "Start preparing the fleet," she said finally. "Pull back all ships to defensive positions around human space. Increase training for ground troops. Double the production of weapons and ammunition." Nodded, making notes on his tablet. "Do you really think they will attack the council?" "I know they will." Started walking toward the shuttle bay. "The only question is when." "And when they do." Thought about the Arbiter, about its arrogance, about its dismissal. Part of her wanted to let the council burn. Let them face the alone. Let them learn what humanity had learned long ago, that the universe was cold and dark and full of things that wanted to kill you. That survival was not a right. It was something you earned with blood and fire. But she was not that person. Humanity was not that species. "When they do," she said, "we will help them anyway, because that is who we are." Smiled slightly. "They will not thank us for it." "No," agreed. "They will not, but we will do it anyway." The shuttle was waiting for them. As they flew away from the council station, looked back at it through the window. It was beautiful, she had to admit. Thousands of years of civilization and cooperation had built something impressive. She wondered how much of it would survive the coming storm. 3 months passed after the meeting at the council station. 3 months of silence. 3 months of waiting. Captain stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's fastest scout ship. She was 38 years old, with sharp eyes and quick hands. Her crew loved her because she never asked them to do anything she would not do herself. Her enemies feared her because she never gave up. The Defiance was hiding behind a small moon, watching, always watching. That was their job, to see what was coming before it arrived. "Captain," said Lieutenant from his station, "I am picking up something strange." Walked over to look at his screen. Was her second in command. He was young, only 29, but he was smart and loyal. His sister had died 2 years ago when a colony called New was attacked by pirates. The council had refused to send help, had never forgotten that. "What is it?" asked. "Multiple contacts," said, "coming out of deep space. Hundreds of them, no wait." His face went pale. "Thousands of them." Communications Officer O looked up from her station. She was small and quiet, the kind of person you might not notice in a crowd. But she was the best communications officer in the fleet. She could hear things in radio signals that no one else could hear. Captain said, "I am receiving distress calls from Prime." Felt her stomach drop. Prime was the jewel of the Council, the most beautiful planet in the galaxy, home to the Council's headquarters, home to billions of people from dozens of species. "Put it on screen," she ordered. The main screen flickered and showed them Prime, or what was left of it. The sky above the planet was filled with ships. They did not look like normal ships. They looked like living things, dark shapes covered in armor and spines. Some were small, the size of fighters. Others were massive, kilometers long, like giant worms swimming through space. Below them, the Council fleet was dying. Watched as a Council battleship, a beautiful vessel covered in lights, was surrounded by attackers. The aliens did not shoot at the ship. Instead, they landed on it. They cut through the hull with their claws. They poured inside like water through a broken dam. The battleship's lights flickered and went out. When they came back on, the ship was no longer fighting it was joining them. The crew was dead. The ship had been absorbed into the swarm. 17 Council warships, reported. His voice was shaking. Destroyed in 6 minutes. The surface said, "Look at the surface." The screen changed to show the ground. Cities were burning. Beautiful towers that had stood for thousands of years were falling. In the streets, people were running. All kinds of people, crystal beings like the Arbiter, insect creatures, energy beings in their containment suits, all of them running, all of them screaming. Behind them came on the ground they moved on dozens of legs. They were fast, faster than anything that size should be. They caught the runners easily, and when they caught them, they did not kill them quickly. Looked away from the screen. She had seen many terrible things in her life, but this was different. This was not a battle. This was a harvest. "We are receiving more distress signals," said, "from everywhere. The Council headquarters is calling for help. The Arbiter is calling for help." She paused. "They are calling for anyone. They are begging." "And where was the Council when Nu was begging?" asked. His voice was bitter. "Where were they when they were dying? Where were they when we warned them this would happen?" Understood his anger. She felt it too. The Council had laughed at them, had called them children, had refused to listen when there was still time to prepare. Part of her wanted to turn the ship around and leave. Let the Council face the consequences of their arrogance. Let them learn what humanity had always known, that the universe did not care about your history or your pride, that survival was earned, not given. But she could not do that. She knew she could not. "Get me Admiral Park," she said. His fingers moved across her controls. "Connection established, Captain." Admiral's face appeared on a small screen near his chair. The Admiral looked tired. There were dark circles under her eyes and new lines on her face. 3 months of preparing for the worst had taken their toll. Captain said, "Report. Admiral Prime is under attack. The Council fleet is destroyed. Millions of people are dying right now. They are consuming everything." Closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, they were hard as steel. "Your recommendation, Captain." Looked at her crew, at who had every reason to hate the Council, at who still believed that people should help each other, at the others who were watching her, waiting to see what she would decide. "We help them," said. "We help them anyway." Why? Asked. It was not a challenge. She wanted to know. Because they need help, because we can help, because if we turn our backs on them now, we become something I do not want to be. Took a deep breath. Because that is who we are, Admiral. We are human. We do not leave people to die, even if those people would have left us. Smiled. It was a small smile, tired and sad but real. "Agreed," she said. "All ships in range are being called to action. Operation Burning Light is authorized." She leaned forward. "Show them what humanity is made of, Captain. Show them why they should never have laughed at us." The connection ended. Stood up straight. Her fear was still there, but something else was rising above it. Pride, purpose, the knowledge that what she was about to do was right, even if it killed her. "All hands," she announced, her voice carrying through every speaker on the ship. "This is the captain. We are going into battle. The enemy is the swarm. They are the most dangerous thing this galaxy has ever seen. The Council fleet has fallen. The Council people are dying." She paused. "Many of you remember how the Council treated us. They called us children. They refused to help our colonies. They laughed when we warned them about this day." Another pause. "But we are not going to let that stop us. We are not going to watch innocent people die because of the mistakes of their leaders. We are human. We run toward the fire. We stand when others fall. We fight when there is no hope." She looked at, his jaw was tight, but he nodded. "Today, we are going to do something impossible. We are going to save people who did not want to be saved by us. And we are going to show the galaxy what humanity really is." She sat down in her captain's chair. "Helm, set course for prime, maximum speed." "Yes, Captain," the helmsman said. The Defiance turned and accelerated toward the dying planet, toward the swarm, toward the fire. Looked up from her console. "Captain, I am counting 47 human ships responding to the Admiral's call. That is everything we have in this sector." 47 ships, against thousands of, against a force that had consumed hundreds of worlds. "It will have to be enough," said. Because it was all they had, and because humans had never let bad odds stop them before. The Vengeance dropped out of faster than light travel like a bullet from a gun. Admiral Park stood at the center of the command deck, surrounded by screens showing the battle below. Prime was dying. Fires burned across continents. The beautiful cities were crumbling, and in the sky, the swarm moved like a living cloud of death. "Battle group is in position," Commander Lee reported. 47 ships, Admiral, destroyers, cruisers, and 1 battleship. That is everything." Nodded, 47 ships against a swarm that had defeated thousands. The math was bad. The odds were worse, but retreat was not an option. "All ships," she said into her communicator, "this is Admiral Park. The enemy is all around us. They are stronger than us. They are bigger than us. They have already won against everyone else they have faced." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But they have never faced humans before. Today we teach them why that was a mistake. All ships, weapons free, show no mercy, take no prisoners, make them remember this day forever." The human fleet attacked. The Council species fought their wars with elegance. Their ships danced around each other, firing precise shots, following mathematical patterns. They believed war should be clean and quick. They did not understand that war was never clean. War was ugly and brutal and horrible. War was about doing whatever it took to survive. Humans understood this. Humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years before they ever reached the stars. They had learned lessons in blood that the Council had never needed to learn. Captain Shin led his destroyer squadron straight into the heart of the swarm. His ships were smaller and faster than the creatures, but they could not avoid all the attacks. Acid splashed against their hulls, claws tore at their armor, but they kept firing. They kept moving. They kept killing. "Enemy carrier on our left," his weapons officer shouted. The carrier was 3 kilometers long, a massive creature that spat out smaller by the hundreds. Its skin was covered in weapons that fired beams of burning light. "All ships target that carrier," ordered. "Concentrate fire on its head." 12 destroyers turned as one. Their guns spoke together, sending hundreds of missiles and energy beams into the carrier's face. The creature screamed, a sound that traveled through space itself, vibrating against their hulls. But it did not die. It was too big, too strong. "Captain," the helmsman said, "the Fury has lost main power. They are drifting." Looked at his screen. The Fury was one of his ships. Its captain, a woman named, had served with him for 10 years. Now her ship was dark and spinning, directly in the path of the wounded carrier. The carrier was turning toward the Fury. Its mouth was opening. It was going to consume the helpless ship and everyone on it. "Captain Shin's voice came through the radio. "We have lost weapons and engines. We cannot escape." There was no fear in her voice, only calm acceptance. "It has been an honor serving with you." "The honor was mine," replied. "Goodbye, old friend." But did not wait to be eaten. At the last moment, the Fury's emergency thrusters fired. The damaged ship turned and accelerated, not away from the carrier but toward it. The Fury hit the carrier's mouth at full speed. The collision was spectacular. The Fury's reactor exploded inside the carrier's body, tearing it apart from within. The carrier died, and so did her crew, but they took the monster with them. "That is how humans die," whispered, "fighting." On the ground, the battle was even more desperate. Major led the 77th Drop Infantry into the burning streets of the capital city. Her soldiers fell from the sky in metal pods, crashing through buildings and landing in the middle of the chaos. Was 45 years old. She had been a soldier for 25 years. She had fought in dozens of battles on a dozen worlds, but she had never seen anything like this. They were everywhere. They crawled on walls, they burst out of the ground, they dropped from the sky, and they were always hungry. "Form defensive lines," shouted. "Protect the evacuation corridors. Every minute we hold is another 1,000 civilians who escape." Her soldiers obeyed. They set up their guns in the streets. They built walls out of broken buildings. They fought with everything they had. A warrior charged at its claws raised to kill. She shot it twice in the head. It kept coming. She shot it 4 more times. It finally fell, sliding to a stop at her feet, its many eyes going dark. "They do not die easy," one of her soldiers said. "Then we shoot them until they do," replied. The battle lasted for hours. Lost count of how many she killed. She lost count of how many soldiers she lost. Her rifle ran out of ammunition and she picked up another from a dead comrade. That one ran out too. She started using her pistol. When that was empty, she used her knife. When her knife broke, she used her bare hands. Around her, the 77th fought the same way. They were not fighting to win anymore. They were fighting to buy time. Every second they held the line was another second for the evacuation ships to escape, another second for innocent people to reach safety. In orbit, Admiral watched her fleet die. "We have lost 18 ships," reported. His voice was tired and sad. "The swarm is adapting to our tactics. They are learning how we fight." "Then we changed tactics," said. She pulled up the tactical display. Somewhere in that swarm was a command creature, a central brain that coordinated all the others. If they could kill it, the swarm would fall into chaos. "There," she said, pointing at a massive shape near the center of the formation. "That is their commander. Signal the Hammer of Soul. Tell Captain to initiate Protocol Prometheus." His face went white. "Admiral, that is a suicide mission." "I know." Protocol Prometheus was humanity's last resort. A ship would fly directly into the enemy, then detonate its reactor. The explosion would destroy everything nearby, including the ship and everyone on it. Captain received the order on the bridge of the Hammer of Soul. She was young for a captain, only 34, but she had earned her rank through skill and bravery. She had volunteered for Protocol Prometheus when she took command. She had known this day might come. "All hands," she announced, "this is the captain. We have received orders to initiate Protocol Prometheus. I am ordering all crew to abandon ship immediately. Take the escape pods. Get to safety." Silence on the bridge. Then her first officer, a man named, spoke. "With respect, Captain, no." "That was not a suggestion, Lieutenant. That was an order." "Then it is an order we refuse to follow." Looked at the other bridge crew. They all nodded. "We are staying with you, Captain. We are staying with the ship. We are seeing this through to the end." Felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. "You are all idiots," she said. "Yes, Captain, we are human idiots." Despite everything, laughed. "Very well, all hands prepare for final approach. It has been an honor serving with you." The hammer of soul accelerated toward the command creature. The swarm tried to stop them. Hundreds of ships fired at them. Claws tore at their hull. Acid burned through their armor. Systems failed one by one. But held the course. Her crew held the course. They were going to die, but they were going to die well. They were going to die like humans. "Distance to target 1,000 kilometers, reported. 500, 200, 100. "For Earth," whispered. "For humanity, for everyone who comes after us." She pressed the button. The explosion was visible from the planet's surface. A new sun appeared in the sky, bright and terrible and beautiful. The command creature was vaporized instantly. So was the hammer of soul and its crew of 300 brave souls. But it worked. The swarm's coordination shattered. The creatures stopped working together. They attacked randomly, sometimes even attacking each other. The great formation that had conquered worlds fell apart into chaos. And into that chaos, humanity's remaining ships dove with every weapon blazing. The Battle of Prime was won. The cost was terrible, but humans had done what everyone said was impossible. They had made the swarm retreat. The battle was over. The swarm had retreated into deep space, running from a fight for the first time in recorded history. Prime still burned, but the killing had stopped. Admiral Park stood in the medical bay of the S-Hope, the largest of humanity's remaining ships. The room was full of wounded soldiers. Every bed was taken. More wounded lay on the floor, waiting for their turn to be treated. The cost of victory was written on their bodies: missing limbs, burned skin, eyes that had seen too much horror and would never forget. "Admiral," Commander Lee said softly, appearing at her side, "the Council is requesting your presence. They say it is urgent." Did not look at him. She was watching a young soldier, barely 20 years old, being treated for wounds that would leave him forever. "Let them wait," she said. "They are being very insistent." "My people are dying," replied. Her voice was cold and hard. "My ships are destroyed. We won a battle that everyone said was impossible. The Council can wait." Nodded and stepped back. Walked through the medical bay slowly. She stopped at every bed. She learned every name. She heard every story. Private was 19 years old. He had joined the military because he wanted to protect people. Now both of his legs were gone, burned away by acid. The doctors said he would never walk again. When asked him if he regretted his choice, he looked her straight in the eyes and said no. He said he would do it again. He said he was proud to be human. Ensign Han was 23. She had been working in the engine room of her ship when a hull breach opened. The ship was about to lose atmosphere. Everyone in that section would have died. So sealed the breach with her own body, pressing herself against the hole until emergency repairs could be made. The vacuum of space had damaged her lungs and eyes. She might never see again. But 60 crew members were alive because of what she did. Sergeant Park was 31. She had been leading a squad on the surface of Prime when they were surrounded by. 3 of her soldiers were wounded and could not walk. Most people would have left them behind, carried them instead. One by one, she brought them to safety, walking back into the combat zone 3 times. She had been shot twice and stabbed once during those trips. She was still awake, refusing painkillers because she wanted to make sure her soldiers were treated first. These were her people. These were humans. This was what humanity was capable of when it mattered. After 12 hours in the medical bay, finally went to the council chamber. The great hall was different now. Many of the seats were empty. Many council members had fled before the battle. Others had died on Prime. The survivors looked at with eyes that had been opened by horror. The High Arbiter was gone. Had heard rumors that it had escaped on one of the first ships. The crystal being that had called humans children had run away when danger came. In its place stood a smaller figure, A young crystal being, female by their species standards, with a face that showed actual emotion. This was the new arbiter. Her name was impossible to pronounce in human language. Admiral Park, the new arbiter said. Her voice was softer than the old one's, less arrogant. The council wishes to express its gratitude. Keep it said. The chamber went silent. Every alien in the room stared at her. I do not want your gratitude, continued. I do not want your thanks. I want you to understand something important. She walked forward, her boots echoing on the floor. The same floor she had walked across 3 months ago, when the council had laughed at her warnings. We did not save your people because you deserved it. We did not save them because we are better than you. We saved them because that is what humans do. We run toward fire when everyone else runs away. We stand when others fall. We die so that strangers might live. The new arbiter lowered her crystalline head. We understand that we made mistakes. Mistakes? His voice was sharp. You called us children. You laughed at our warnings. You refused to prepare for a threat that was obvious to everyone with eyes to see. She stepped closer to the arbiter. My sailors died for your people today. 300 crew on the Hammer of Soul. 8,000 soldiers in space and on the ground. 23 ships gone. They did not die because you asked them to. You were too proud to ask for help. They did not die because you earned their sacrifice. You earned nothing. The chamber was completely silent. Some of the council members looked ashamed. Others looked angry, but none of them spoke. They died because humanity believes that every life has value, said. Even the lives of people who hate us. Even the lives of people who would never do the same for us. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us strong. The new arbiter looked up. Her crystal face showed something that might have been tears if her species could cry. What would you have us do? She asked. Was quiet for a long moment. She thought about Captain, who had driven her ship into the heart of the swarm. She thought about Private, who would never walk again. She thought about all the empty chairs on her remaining ships, all the people who would not be coming home. Learn, she said finally. Watch and remember. She turned to address the entire council. The swarm is not defeated. They have retreated, but they will return. They will be angry. They will be hungry. And when they come back, they will be even more dangerous. She pointed at the hole in the ceiling, where you could still see the stars and the debris from the battle floating in space. Look at what 47 human ships did against a force that shattered your 1,000-year peace. 47 ships, fighting an enemy that had never been beaten. We did not win because we were stronger. We won because we were willing to pay a price that you were not. We won because we fought like we had nothing to lose. She lowered her hand. Now imagine what we could do together. Your technology and our determination. Your resources and our courage. Your knowledge and our will to survive. The new arbiter stepped forward. You would still work with us, after everything the council has done, after how we treated you. Smiled. It was a tired smile, full of sadness but also full of hope. I would. Humanity would. Because holding grudges does not win wars. Because anger does not save lives. Because the only way we survive what is coming is by standing together. She held out her hand. It was a human gesture, one that meant partnership and trust. The arbiter might not understand it, but she would learn. Join us, said, not as masters and servants, not as adults and children, as equals, as allies, as friends. The new arbiter looked at its hand for a long moment. Then she reached out with her own crystalline hand and took it. The council accepts, she said, and we will never forget what humanity did here today. Make sure you don't, replied, because we are going to need every species in this galaxy working together if we want to survive. The new alliance was born in that moment. It was built on blood and fire and sacrifice. It was built on the bodies of human soldiers who had died for people who did not deserve their protection. But it was built, and that was what mattered. The real war was just beginning. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Prime. 1 year of building, training, and preparing. 1 year of learning to work together. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the S-Unity, the largest warship ever built by any species. It was a joint project, designed by humans but built with technology from across the galaxy. Its hull was made from council metals. Its weapons were powered by human reactors. Its shields used techniques that had been secret for thousands of years. Around her, officers from a dozen different species worked together. Crystal beings operated sensor stations next to humans. Insect creatures worked on weapons systems beside people from Earth. Energy beings floated in their containment suits, communicating with the ship's computers. A year ago, this would have been impossible. Now it was normal. "Fleet status report," ordered. "All ships in position, Admiral," Commander Lee replied. He had been promoted twice in the past year. He had earned every rank. 2,000 ships from 40 species, the largest fleet in galactic history. 2,000 ships. It was a number that would have seemed like a dream 1 year ago, but the galaxy had woken up after Prime. They had seen what they could do. They had seen what humanity could do, and they had decided to fight. "Message from the Arbiter," said Communications Officer O. She was a commander now, leading an entire communications division. "She wishes us good hunting." The new Arbiter had become one of humanity's strongest allies. She had visited the memorial for the crew of the Hammer of Soul. She had laid flowers at the graves of human soldiers who had died for her people. She had cried crystal tears in public, something no Arbiter had ever done before. She understood now. She understood what humanity had tried to teach the Council from the beginning, that survival was not about being the oldest or the most advanced. It was about being willing to fight, being willing to sacrifice, being willing to do whatever it took. "Signal all ships," said. "This is it. Today we take the fight to them. Today we end the threat forever." The fleet began to move. 2,000 ships flying in perfect formation, heading toward the heart of territory. They had spent months finding this place, if you could call it that, the center of the swarm, the place where it had all begun. In the fighter bay, Lieutenant Commander addressed his squadron. He had been promoted after Prime. He had earned medals that humans had never received before, but he still felt like the young officer who had watched the Council laugh at his people. His squadron was different now. Humans flew alongside alien pilots, crystal beings in ships designed for their crystalline bodies, insect creatures in fast attack craft, even a few energy beings in special vessels that ran on pure thought. "I know some of you think humans are crazy," said. "You are right. We are crazy. We fight when we should run. We hope when we should give up. We believe in things when all evidence says we should not." He looked at his pilots. A year ago they would not have been in the same room. Now they were a team, a family. "But today you are all a little bit crazy too, because you are with us. And together we are going to do something that has never been done before. We are going to destroy the swarm. We are going to end a threat that has consumed hundreds of worlds. We are going to save the galaxy." He climbed into his fighter. The cockpit closed around him. On his screens he could see the other pilots doing the same. "Let's go hunting," he said. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel above the. It was an ugly place. A planet that had been eaten and rebuilt so many times that nothing natural remained. Just biomachinery and darkness and hunger. Around the planet the swarm gathered for battle. Millions of creatures ready to defend their home. They had learned from Prime. They were stronger now, smarter, more dangerous. But so was the Alliance. All ships ordered, begin the attack. The battle that followed would be remembered for 10,000 years. Major General led the ground assault. Her troops landed on the planet in the middle of a storm of acid and claws. They fought their way through tunnels and hives and breeding chambers. They planted bombs in places that no living thing should ever see, and when the bombs exploded, they ran. Not all of them made it out. Captain Shin commanded the destroyer fleet. His ships dove into the swarm again and again, drawing fire away from the larger vessels. When one of his destroyers was damaged beyond repair, its captain, a crystal being who had learned human tactics in the past year, rammed it into a carrier. The explosion took out a dozen enemy ships. That captain's name was added to the list of heroes, right next to the human names, right where it belonged. In the center of the battle, the S-Unity faced the Queen. She was enormous, the size of a small moon, the mother of the entire swarm. Every creature in existence had come from her body. Every world they had consumed had fed her growth. "She is calling for help," reported. "The swarm is responding. They are pulling back from all fronts to defend her." "Good," said. "That is exactly what we wanted." The plan had been months in the making. Draw the swarm together, make them defend their queen, and then destroy them all at once. All ships announced, "Prepare for Protocol Sunrise." Protocol Sunrise was humanity's answer to Protocol Prometheus. Instead of one ship sacrificing itself, the entire fleet would fire together, every weapon at maximum power, all aimed at a single target. The energy release would be enough to crack a planet. Admiral said quietly, "Are you sure about this?" Looked at him. "No, but I was not sure about Prime either, and that worked out. We lost a lot of good people at Prime." "Yes, we did, and we will lose more today, but we will win, because that is what humans do. We pay the price that no one else is willing to pay, and we win." She turned to face the screen. The Queen filled the view, her massive body surrounded by millions of her children. "All ships fire." 2,000 ships fired as one. Missiles, energy beams, projectiles, weapons that had no names in any human language. All of it hit the Queen at the same moment. The explosion was so bright that sensors across the galaxy picked it up. Scientists on distant worlds would study it for centuries. Poets would write about it. Children would learn about it in school. The Queen died, and when she died, so did the swarm. Every creature in existence was connected to her. When she stopped living, they stopped living too. Millions of alien monsters simply stopped moving, their lights going dark, their bodies going cold. The war was over. The galaxy was saved. 1 year later, a monument was built on Prime. It stood in the center of the rebuilt capital city, a simple pillar of black stone. On it were carved the names of every person, human and alien, who had died in the fight against the. At the base of the monument, in 100 different languages, a single phrase was written. "They answered with fire." And below that, added by the Arbiter herself, "We will never forget." Admiral Park visited the monument on the anniversary of the first battle. She was older now, with more gray in her hair and more lines on her face, but her eyes were still sharp. Her spirit was still strong. Walked beside her. They had been through everything together. The warnings that no one believed. The battle that no one thought they could win. The war that had changed the galaxy forever. "Do you think they really will remember?" asked, looking at the monument. 100 years from now, 1,000. Looked up at the names carved in stone. Captain and the crew of the Hammer of Soul. Private, who had learned to walk again with artificial legs and now trained new soldiers. Sergeant Park, who had been promoted to colonel and led one of the most decorated units in the Alliance. So many names, so many stories. "They will remember," said, "because we taught them something they had forgotten. We taught them that courage matters more than age, that sacrifice matters more than wisdom, that the smallest fire can light the darkness if it burns bright enough." She placed her hand on the monument, feeling the cold stone beneath her fingers. "They called us children once," she said. "They laughed at us. They ignored us. But we showed them what children can do when they refuse to give up. We showed them what humans are made of." She smiled, and there was pride in that smile. Pride and sadness and hope all mixed together. The galaxy will never be the same, and that is exactly what we wanted. She turned and walked away from the monument, toward the future. A future that humans had earned with blood and fire and the refusal to ever surrender. A future that belonged to everyone now. Together,